All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, actually. Okay, so let me hand out the signing sheet. So today of course, we are supposed to talk about the routines, which is a major half, or more than one for at least a second book. And yeah, we are in a second book, and after today, we are more than halfway done with this course. It's the 5th day. Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe. Well, it looks like we have quite a few chapters, so 5 chapters to cover, but actually each chapter is not so long. And as before, I think that there are many good tips and good experiences recommended in each chapter. And we'll do it this way. So I may ask your ideas, ask you to share your responses to some situations or questions. And you may also talk about your experiences in a childcare setting that you've been working at. And there might be some discussion about very specific techniques when it comes to childcare. So I think we have quite some interesting topics to talk about today. And I can't wait to show you, especially our friends on Zoom, that we have a baby with us today. Camera. Well, the camera is not on me now. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right. Okay, so first we will talk about hellos and goodbyes, chapter 6. So I believe you all have your handbook handy. So you may also turn to the page that we'll be talking about. All right. Well, like on page 181, creating the environment for hellos and goodbyes. In every chapter, we have such a section. Of course, also the section on the left-hand page, supporting development and learning, how to do it. So these are very good experiences shared with us. If we turn over, I'm interested in the question, like your own views. So one question that stands out to me while reading it is, what might explain some parents' attempts to leave without saying goodbye? What are their feelings? How do you feel when parents leave that way? How do the children feel? So, based on those questions, my little question before that is that, did it happen at your childcare? Parents leave without saying goodbye to their kids? Did it happen to you as a parent?
I've noticed in my classroom that some kids that struggle with the separation anxiety and wanting to come in, that finally once the parents start to get them close to us, they just turn around and take off. So then, and the kids are usually fine, but when they say goodbye, then the kids want to go back to their parent. So sometimes I think that's why they do it. But then it's funny because near the end of the school year, the kids just walk in and, you know, the parents standing at the door waiting for a hug or a kiss, and the kids are already in, signing in, and, you know, so it just depends on, with separation anxiety, I think is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm. And from your sharing of your experience or observation is that children actually probably very fast, they overcame this separation anxiety. Yeah. And parents, we have all been, most of us have been our parents. We have experienced that maybe we can say struggle or a little challenge. I did the same thing like what you said, Kelly. When I was sending my younger one to pre-K, she's 3 years old. Sometimes I just, you know, escaped or ran away without saying goodbye because I was fearful of that moment. She may just cling to my legs and don't let me go. I don't want that to happen, so I didn't say goodbye. Well, now, do you think that's the right thing to do? I don't think so, right? Yeah, it's not the right thing to do. It depends on the child. Yeah. Anything more? Why is it? Yeah.
Because the child is clinging, or they know you. You know, they have an understanding. It's not a big issue. You know, because you'll say your goodbyes in the car. Because like for my son, he doesn't want us to come inside now. So I guess the age where they don't want you to go inside. So as long as you say your goodbyes before they get out of the car, it shouldn't be an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Of course, your son, I mean, he's a big boy. You know.
He started that pre-K.
Pre-K.
Yeah, as soon as he saw the kids, he was gone.
We make the parents walk the kids to our door for safety, and a lot of them are like, they tell their parents stay at the door. Mm-hmm. The parents like, I have to come in with you. It's the policy.
Yeah, yeah.
So some of them get that independence pretty quick.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So kids are different. I understand. Probably it's because your son was very independent even since he just started pre-K. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really, the same situation happened with my child. If we can come back to my younger one again, it just take maybe less than a week that she decided to ignore me as soon as she's walked into the room. She liked the teacher, like what you said. When she saw her friends, she just ran in there. Well, at first, she stood at the doorway observing for a while. Yeah, for the first few days. After she cried and she, experienced the separation anxiety, she observed. So after a few days of observation stage, and she just ran in the classroom to either approach some kids to play with them or just to walk or run to some corner and to pick up any toys. Yeah, I'll just assign in. Yeah, and then I'll just go. Yeah. Even sometimes you have to grab her attention to say goodbye at that moment. Yeah, that stage. Yeah, all right. It's easy for us to understand how parents feel about that because parents actually may struggle even harder than kids. Parents may think longer about that moment than kids do. Kids just forget it in the next second or minute. Yeah, but we feel sometimes painful about the departure. So as teachers or caregivers, what shall we do? What should we recommend to the parents? Simply speaking, we would encourage them to give the signal, right? While ensuring them, I'll be back, going to work, and I'll pick you up at what hour, right? Leave a simple sentence of reassurance, and when it becomes a routine, well, they feel safe. They feel they can expect the parents to come to pick them up at a certain time. All right. Okay. It's also very important for us to think about how to support children emotionally throughout the day. And of course, that permeates into everything, almost everything we do, to make sure children feel emotionally safe and attached. They can depend on you when they have needs. And we also have some advice here, page 194. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't have time to list my questions in a PowerPoint slide. And I also want to point out that if you are writing letters to parents, which is very likely to happen, we have examples, very good examples at the end of each chapter, right? Yeah, sharing thoughts about hellos and goodbyes. So in this chapter, it's on page, there is no page number, but it should be on page 199. Anything else about saying goodbyes and hellos? Otherwise, we'll say goodbye to this chapter. Any experiences, any interesting episodes you want to share, either as a caregiver or as a parent?
My experience has been in a classroom, 3-year-olds, but one of the first parents that I struggled with stood outside my room crying for a good 10 minutes. And we realized that the mom was having a much harder time than the child. So I make sure I call parents or text them. If they've had a really tough separation, I want to reassure that parent that they're okay, that they settled down after so long or whatever, because what a miserable start to their day as well if they're worried the whole time about their child.
That's a wonderful example you shared, Cindy. Yeah, and there's also something similar mentioning in this chapter, well, in a book somewhere. Yeah, parents suffer more than a kid. So maybe that kid is the parent's first child. Maybe not, right? Yeah.
This one wasn't, but the child had some emotional issues. And so the mom was just extremely worried about her.
Quite understandable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's great that you, during the middle of the day or even just 1 hour after the departure of the mom, you send her pictures. You could send her through social media the videos, or usually it's easier to send pictures, right? Just to give them a reassuring update. Yeah, so your child is doing okay. She has stopped crying. Again, back to my pre-K experience, my child's pre-K experience. I'm really concerned, just like what you said, because when I left, Claire was crying. We can all well understand how you as a parent felt when that happened, and you have to go, right? And actually the teacher didn't expect you to hang around longer. Yes, I drove away with my heart heavy. Yeah, although she's already my second one. Because every child is different. Yeah, my younger one, probably she clings to her mom more or to us more than my bigger one. Yeah. So when I get a call from the teacher, there are two teachers, one main teacher, the other assistant teacher. They are all wonderful. Holy Cross, actually, in town. Holy Cross. Well, it's really reassuring. Yeah. Well, not to mention seeing pictures. She's okay. She's playing. Yeah, that really helps a lot. Part of our job. Mm-hmm. Not compulsory duties, but we are doing many things out of our care about the children and parents, although it's not required. That's what makes us wonderful caregivers. That's why we can attract more children and family to us. Okay. All right. Let's move on to another chapter, diapering and toileting. I want to say this might be the most interesting chapter today, or exciting chapter. George, are you ready? I'm sorry to pick you up because okay, well, it's okay for me to ask you maybe. So I guess you haven't got any child yet because I think you are very young.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. So today I think many things will be kind of, if not really eye-opening, but might be new to you. Well, I feel excited. One of the reasons. Yeah, I do have a question here. On page, if you can look at page 201, the caregiver is doing something while changing the diaper for a baby, a very young child. So either you can recall from your prior experiences as a parent or either as an educator. So what do you do? What are you doing in the meantime of changing the diaper for the child? Are you talking? What are you talking about? Singing? You trying to amuse the baby or the child? Anything to share, especially for George and maybe Kara, if you don't mind. Maybe you didn't have much parenting experience yet. Anybody wants to share that?
I actually have a 4-year-old.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Right? Yeah, a couple of times. I'm sorry, Kira. Yeah.
That's okay.
All right. So in a childcare setting, what are you doing while changing the diaper? In addition to changing the diaper, are you talking? Kira, do you have anything to say there?
Sorry, I didn't know you were asking me. I actually do home visits, but I could kind of go based off of when I was working at Joy, if you want me to.
I'm sorry. What are you trying to say?
We do home visits right now, so I'm not around infants, but I used to work at a daycare where they take infants, so I can go off of based off of that if you wanted me to.
Yes, of course.
Okay. When they change the kids' diapers, they actually do talk to the babies. Just saying random stuff. Just saying random stuff about, oh, I'm changing your diaper, or just communicating, and that's what they do. I even did that with my son, and because of me taking classes and working there, it's actually helped me to communicate with my son, because when you don't have this experience of, you don't think to talk to an infant.
I got you. Yeah. So it's also a learning experience from the childcare setting, and you benefited when it comes to taking care of your son, right? Yeah.
Yes.
When maybe it's also a mutual benefiting process. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there are many things we can say. Of course, they needs to be age appropriate, child friendly. We want to make sure that bowel movement or urinating is a quite a normal thing. Even we should encourage it among young children. So it's great. Yeah, well, you feel better now. It's quite all right. So you did a good job in like waste or things like that, so that the young children, they don't feel any sense of shame, or it's not anything bad at all. Yeah, that's one of the things we can say, and we can also amuse them or tease them. Technically, it shouldn't be very challenging, but there are some fundamental skills as well, or techniques as well, right? Yeah, we want to lead the child. Usually we lead, sorry to pick them up this way. Camera, please, yeah. Or maybe we can have someone to demonstrate how to change a diaper here. I didn't find any diaper in my house because yeah, it's all used up years ago. All right, here's the baby. Usually we change it in a camera. It's not working that way. It's interesting. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I can only say to you, George, the camera today really likes Sarah. How about you, Sarah? Yeah.
Demonstrate.
Yeah, demonstrate by my your laptop. Yeah.
It wouldn't actually.
Here, you can use a napkin.
Did you like talk to the baby?
So talk again, Sarah.
Okay. Ever change your diaper? Oh, yep. Yep, you're poopy.
Here, give me the napkin. I tried to fold it up.
We'll play with you. Lift your legs. Oh, that is sneaky. We're going to get you a new diaper so you're all clean. Okay. Yay! Now you must feel better now, right? Uh-huh.
Oh, Sarah actually really undressed the baby. Yeah. Very
And
good.
I have to change
Wonderful,
the
yeah.
diaper.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Well done. Yeah. Very soon after I became a dad, I learned that you really need to put a new diaper beneath the dirty one. That's very important. Yeah. Some other tips as well, right? Yeah. Mhm. It was interesting for me to read. I'm sorry?
I'm not a mom, but I change diapers.
Aim down, yeah, especially when you have a boy.
They always
Yeah.
go when you take the diaper off.
What do you say, Kelly?
They always potty when you take the diaper off.
Exactly, yeah, it often happens that way.
No.
Yeah, all right.
I've just saw my nephew and kids at church, but still.
Okay.
Someday.
But I've never gotten potty once, which I'm surprised.
I did.
You did.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. While I was looking for the resources for today, I did upload other video links to our agenda today, later on, pretty close to noon. And I found there are, of course, some funny videos about the new parent, especially about the daddies. And some daddy really, they threw up while changing their children's diaper. I don't quite get that. I never did. Yeah, I mean, I think it's my own kids. Yeah, it's
When it's other people's kids, it's kind of
right. I get that if it happens.
right.
Right. Yeah. But it's your own children, and they just couldn't. Well, yeah, they just couldn't help it. Maybe we'll watch a video about changing diapers. It's already on Blackboard. Yeah, later on. Okay. And it was also interesting for me to learn that it also happens sometimes. Very rarely did I do it, changing the diaper while the kids are standing. I have 2 girls, but when they are much bigger than a very young infant, I usually just let them lie down. And when the situation is not really that sticky, right? Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to share about the diapering? We all have a changing station, of course, or diapering station in the child care center. Yeah, all right. Continue with that topic. So how do you feel about toilet training in a child care setting? So are all children come in your care, in your center already toilet trained?
Usually
no.
I'm in a 2s classroom, so it's literally the transition between diaper and being potty trained. So there's some of them, the older ones are potty trained mostly, and there's some who are still in diapers.
Yeah.
Starting.
So I was curious to hear what you say about some parents have already started potty training, and the kids already have a good start, or they are already on the way to get there. And then some kids, some parents may not. They may start the training very late. So actually, pretty much it will be your task to toilet train them. So how do you feel about that? How do you carry out the task? Any experiences to share? Because we actually, our friends here have different experiences and are at different skill level when it comes to these things, right? So I think it's meaningful for us to share what we have been doing.
I used to have a 2-year-old classroom, and I had 7 of them by myself. And what I would do when they were showing the signs, like they were ready to start potty training, I was always ask the parent, "Are you ready?" I think I've noticed this. Like little Johnny, he's dry after nap time. Are you ready to do the potty training? And try and give it, just let them tell me yes or no. And if they are, I'm like, okay, well, I can definitely help you with that. Or if you're not, I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that yet. It's like, okay, well, just let me know when you are. you know, so I just try to meet them where they're at. You know, still encourage them to go because they're showing me those signs for the child. And there's times when I actually potty trained, you know, like the kids that were like, oh yeah, you know, and every kid's different.
Right.
Like some kids, I had one little girl, it took her a week. Yeah. Really potty trained. After that week, no more diapers, straight up underwear. I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah, but she was, yeah.
So 2 years old?
Yep. And she was, yeah. And some it takes a little longer. Boys took longer. But yeah, so that was fun. My experiences anyway.
Yeah, good experience sharing. Yeah. So what about this is very specific, the toilet in a childcare setting that you have been working. Is it all designed it's a toilet for children, or it's a regular toilet that is modified? See, it has a little potty chair cover.
Depends on your center. Depends on the center, because the one I worked at, that had the 2-year-old classroom, I shared a bathroom with the 2.5 and 3.5 classroom, and they were all regular size toilets. But another day,
too tall for the children.
yeah, but we had step stools for them to, you know, get up on and get on there. We had that, and sometimes it was a struggle. Sometimes I was like, okay, how can I still keep, you know, being observant of, you know, all 7 of them, because I was in a room by myself. And I had to, you know, make sure that I was, you know, no child was unsupervised. You know, I had to do the work a certain way to where I was still, if, you know, health department was to come in and see me, I had to be, I'm still watching this group, but I got this group taken care of too. There was bowls I had. It was like a circus.
Yeah.
But it was a very organized, well thought out circuit, because I had at least, and what I would do the girls, and then get the girls done, and I'll have like the boys do like books, and then I'll switch, because you know you can't do it. You can't have girls in there, and you can't have a co-ed, and so that's how I did it, and it worked out really well. You know, for the group that I had.
So at a regular, sorry to interrupt you, at a regular potty time. Yeah, or potty break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually it's every 2 hours. You know, I was like check and see if there are asked if they were like really potty trained. But there's other centers that I worked at that had the child-sized toilets. So it depends on what center that you're at.
Yeah. Any other experiences to share? Well, those little circle, the toilet is the cover is easy to find, and it's easy to put on a regular toilet. And like what you said, you may need to have the stools ready if it is regular size. And well, when I first came to America, actually in public places, I often found the toilet is taller than ones used in China. I might be just overgeneralizing, but I do find that some of them are really tall. So I'm just thinking about young children. You know, they would need help if they want to go out at those devices. Yeah. Okay. All right. Betsy mentioned, so if you are alone, you're working alone in a room where there are quite a few children, you have 7, well, which is already a good number for only one teacher there. So you have to keep your eyes, even supervise or monitor the movements of the other children from the corner of your eye, even using the eyes at the back of your head. And we talked about this in other classes. One essential skill that teachers should possess and develop, and it may be perfect, is called withedness. Yeah, which means you try to have a pair of eyes at the back of your head. Through your hair, maybe, although that sounds scary if you picture it. But really, it's about your ability to sense the sound, the movement, the behavior issues sometimes in every corner of the classroom while you are paying attention to one student or one group of students. And then you would give intervention timely. A very explicit intervention. Sometimes you would just give some signs or signals just to that kid. So that kid, for example, bigger ones, they would sense, okay, the teacher, although he or she is not directly looking at me, but he or she already sensed what I'm doing. So that probably will stop them from doing something negative further along the way. Yeah, so that's withedness. Only one educator in a child care setting usually really will keep you busy, but it also depends on the number, right? It's still a mission that would be doable. Yeah. Okay. It just occurred to me when I mentioned withedness and working alone in a room full of children. A few days ago, 3 days ago maybe, actually last Friday at YMCA, my wife sent my kids, 2 of them, to the Mom's Day Out at YMCA. And at 1:30, I went there to pick them up. I already got Claire with me, and Abigail was outside, and she's ready too. And I was about to step out of the room where there are still quite a few children there. A younger one, maybe around 3 years old, a boy, just ran out while the door is open. Because the young teacher was popping the door open for some other kids and parents, and he just ran out. And this little young teacher, she said, shoot, before she called another educator who is across the hallway. Could you help me get him back? Yeah, I'm alone here. I don't know what you think, but when I heard that word, it might be okay for me to say this in front of you. Shoot. I would have second thought while saying that in front of young children. Yeah, the children may be aged from 2 to 4 in that room, and not 5 stuff. Maybe it's not. It's just my understanding of the language. What do you think? Would you say that
She's
word?
probably thinking something else, and that was the appropriate thing to say at the time.
So it wasn't. It's fine to say. Trust me, there's other words you could have said.
That's why I said I thought something else, but said.
Some teachers, when that happens, I've heard them actually say the wrong words and yell it out.
You just reacted on the jump.
But she's made it general, so it doesn't. So it won't offend anybody. It won't cause anybody to get mad at things.
Right. Yeah. It's not to anybody. It's just to the situation. Yeah.
If something like that happens, you have to. This is going to happen.
You don't know what you're going to say when it happens.
I got your point. Yeah. So if we can, we try not to use those words, right? Yeah. But sometimes really you acted on impulse. Well, I still think experience will help. It's just it becomes a practice, makes it routine, make it a habit internalized. So when you're in that setting, maybe your word choice is just confined to those beautiful pool. I don't know. It's just my view. I have a background in language and linguistics, including pragmatics, the use of language. So I paid some attention to that. Maybe I was just too particular, just to share. All right. It's also mentioned. Well, I put it down. Put a note down on page 207. Watch for signs of diaper needs, Most of you are very experienced in detecting that. And in modern days, of course, we have very well-designed diaper. They have the color line that changes when it has enough moisture there, either from two states, right? Two states. And of course, the most the easiest or primary signs are from the babies themselves. They may make faces, they may cry, usually they may wiggle their bodies through their arms and legs in the air, trying to catch our attention. Yeah.
This will be a whole new world for me because with me switching over to Unified with the special needs students, we get them when they turn 3, and many of them are not toilet trained yet. So there are some in our pre-K classes that'll still be in diapers and pull-ups. So that's something I have to prepare for that I haven't had to do for 17 years. So
yeah.
Luckily I have a bathroom in my classroom. But yeah, it's going to be
so verbally, right, verbally children with special needs, and there are different kinds of special needs, and which make them react differently, right? There might be challenges compared with children who do not have special needs. But anyway, I think we human beings all show signs of discomfort in similar ways. I won't say that. Yeah. You can detect the unpleasant indicators, right? Yeah. But yeah, well, it will be. I think you will be pretty good at that. Yeah. But it's good for you to point that out, the differences. Anyone has experiences. I want to know how you will react. For example, in such a scenario, you believe it's high time for a child to go potty. He or she just refuses to go because she's busy playing. What would you say to him or her? What would you do? Did it happen to you?
I've had that happen in my pre-K classroom. That kids are asking what happened, and they were just busy playing. But so.
What would you do as a teacher?
Sometimes you have to kind of watch for the signs. Like if one of them starts kind of dancing, I'll go over and tell them, I'll hold on to your toy, and so because a lot of times they don't want to leave that toy because they think someone else will come and get it.
Yes, exactly.
So I'll tell them I'll hold on to it, or I'll set it over on the table, and when they're done in the bathroom, they can have it back. But it doesn't happen very often. But I also have 4- and 5-year-olds, but it does happen. They'll just be busy playing, especially outside. We try to make certain kids go to the bathroom before we go outside. So.
It was a struggle with me at my house, again with my younger one. She's just busy, engaged in playing, and she didn't want to go pop. And sometimes there was an accident. And my bigger one would shout, "Claire, here on the floor." Now it rarely happens since she's already 5. But it did happen when she was 3 and even 4. So, like what you said, that's good for you to say, to reassure her that your toys will not be messed up by anyone else. That's something they really care about. That's the most important thing to them. Yeah. So that's one technique. Okay. So we are moving on to the next chapter, eating at meal times. How about that? All right. Do you all have experiences working in a kitchen, preparing food for the kids? Well, very few of you. Who is that?
That's me. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any experience with any of that stuff.
Okay. You mean you don't have experience of preparing food? Yeah. I understand that. You don't have to. Yeah. All right. I was looking at the questions on this page, 218. For example, the third one, have you ever used the food as a reward, such as giving a child a cupcake or candy for sitting still at lunch, or have you used as a punishment to not give the kid certain food because they have done something bad or not right? Okay, all right, I got you. Long story short, so you are very hesitating to say yes, and you're right. We shouldn't be doing that, right? Yeah, almost across all the age levels or grade levels. In most cases, we are not encouraged to use food, even materialistic stuff, as reward. That's pretty much behaviorist approach. I'm not saying behaviorist approach is all bad. It has been in a dominant trend for decades and decades. Some of them are still reasonable and scientific, but for educational purposes, usually we don't want to involve such stuff into the encouragement of positive behavior. Yeah, it won't be a very healthy cycle if we involve food or materialistic reward into the system or into the practice. Actually, it's said later on in the opposite page, 219.
I've done body training with my son. We put the Skittles on the back of the toilet. If you went to use the toilet, you got the Skittles. If not, they stay there. Because they're in little plastic, we had little plastic bags, a blood bag, we put it on the back, right on the shelf right above it. This is when we were body training. So if he did it, it was 3 Skittles, but he understood, hey, this is and after a while we got rid of it. So it wasn't like a full-time thing, it was just getting started.
All right, it works in that way. Yeah.
We actually did some reading and leadership team at my school that talked about with kids that have either been through trauma or with our Title I population that using food as a positive reward, because a lot of those kids, they'll be good for food. And there was some research that we read, I don't remember the article's name, but we talked about that. It wasn't that we withheld it, but it was an additional, a couple Cheerios or a snack or something like that, that they actually said that was okay to use. So
yeah.
Probably just depends on what.
It depends, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, if you want to give those rewards to children as a reward for very positive behavior, and then later on, say moments later, it will be long enough that children will not relate that to the specific children who got them first, maybe, or related to. Okay, well, I don't want them to relate to punishment, children.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you bring out something, they're all quiet and ready to.
Yeah.
Ready to.
So, I mean, you still want to provide it to every child.
Mm-hmm.
That's my view. First you award someone for very good behavior, for modeling, for being a good model, and then after a while, actually you still provide it to everyone, so that no children feel bad. Not having it.
Okay. That makes a difference sometimes.
Well, there are many things mentioned about keeping children safe and healthy. A whole bunch of tips are mentioned from page 220 to 221, even beyond. And one thing that I'm interested in mentioning is that burping practices. Well, as parents, of course, we all know it is important, right, for babies who are still nursing, either from bottle or from moms. So after eating for a while, or even a certain amount is also mentioned, say 2 or 3 ounces, or for a few minutes, you need to stop the nursing and then burp them. There are different ways to do it. And Camera, would you please kindly look at me now? Okay, all right. So I learned that to burp the baby, we are. If I move you, am I on camera now?
I don't think so.
Nope. It's interesting. All right.
There you are now.
Well, I think the baby likes me. Okay, all right. Eyes on me. Okay, all right. So now the camera is on me. Yeah, so George is laughing. All right, you have never seen me holding a baby. The more the merrier. Yeah, so this is the way you hold a baby, and I'm not an expert maybe, but I think I did a good job as a father to my children in this aspect, just patting them gently on the back, and when you heard things like that for a few
You hope
times.
nothing comes out.
Exactly. Sometimes something more also comes out, just like what happened in space, right? If you burp, can you imagine what happens if you burp in a space? Well, you cannot successfully burp in a space because there's no gravity, and we can all understand that, right? Yeah, the food and air would be mixed together. That's what happened when Coca-Cola Company, they brought a can of Coke to the space station, and the astronaut drank it, and then because of the air, they wanted to burp, but it turned out to be a very unpleasant experience. So many other things, also came up because air and food are not distinguished from one another in space. There's no gravity. Yeah, I know I was digressing from burping the baby, but I kind of like doing it. Yeah. All right. Isn't something very helpful to learn, George? You're welcome. All right. Yeah, it says here, stop every 3 to 5 minutes or when a child has consumed 2 to 3 ounces of formula or milk. Okay. Chapter 9, sleeping and nap time. So a general question to all of us. Of course, not all the children in your center nap, right? I mean, there is a big age difference. Well, the older they get, usually they grow out of the napping habit. Until when? Until what age? According to your experience. There might also be a cultural difference there, or even familial experience. All families are different in doing that. Parents also have different routines or expectations.
Probably about 5 years old before they go to kindergarten. Because I've worked with kids that age, and they quit wanting to take naps. Like most of them are up like a month before they start going to kindergarten. During that summer, they're just walking around, getting up to go to the bathroom, talking, looking at books.
Did you say the mom encouraged them not to take naps anymore?
We don't not encourage them. We encourage them to take naps. I just really don't think they want to anymore.
Exactly. That's true. I agree. Yeah. My younger one, Claire, is in that stage, exactly the same stage that you are talking about. So she's going to kindergarten in the fall, and she almost hated to go to nap now. It's quite a while ago. Yeah, well, even sometimes it's not very good to say that here. Sometimes I try to wrestling her to the bed. That usually wasn't successful. Her mom, of course, is a better person to nap with her. She can fake sleep with her until she falls asleep. Then she had to very carefully sneak out of the room.
For my son, we made it for quiet time once he started getting to that age where he just had to relax in his room. And then that's when he started reading. So we just let him read books during that time frame so he could read for an hour to 2 hours instead of taking a nap.
So physically, he's at rest.
Yeah, he's just laying on his bed, just windows open. You know, either the lights on or the windows open, and he would just read.
It's a comforting, it's a soothing time. Yeah. That's a good, yeah.
I think it depends on the age too, because like a friend of mine, our kids are the same age, and her son napped till he was, 4.5, and my son was done napping when he was 3. He just wouldn't take naps and was fine without him, wasn't fussy or anything. But we even have some kids in my classroom. I have 4 and 5-year-olds. Every now and then they'll come to school, and if they'll be upset or sad, and we ask them what's wrong, and they tell us they're tired.
Yeah.
So we get a little cot in the back of the room, and some of them lay down and sleep for an hour, and some lay down for 5 minutes, and then they're back up. So it just depends on the kids. And,
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But 8 hours is a long day when you're 5, when you're in kindergarten.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Crystal? Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on their nighttime routine and when they get up in the morning as well, if they're ready to rest in the afternoon. If they go to bed late, then they may need an afternoon nap, but that whole schedule really affects whether they nap or not.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah. Power naps helps everybody. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Power nap. Miss that.
We need them now as adults.
Well, feel free to laugh at me. I still like naps, although usually I can't do it because I'm at work. Yeah. It helps a lot. Even just the 10 minutes or 15 minutes, it's really just make you very energetic again. Yeah. That's why we call it power nap. Yeah, right?
Japanese culture, they take naps at lunch.
With
Japanese culture.
there we go, yeah.
They would go into the little back room, they'd have a cot, and they would take a 20-30-minute power nap.
After lunch, right? Yeah. Well, most of the Chinese people, I think, I would say most, do that too. Yeah, it's just part of our culture.
No,
Yeah.
I like naps.
Sorry?
I like naps, not gonna lie. So when I can take a nap, I take one.
Yeah, it helps. It helps. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Only, I mean, our class has to happen at this hour. Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't help much with that, though. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, what about the facilities, the furniture in a typical childcare setting, or even, I mean, again, if you're working somewhere, so do you think it's well, it's ready, it's well designed for napping needs of kids? If not, what needs to be there? Or enough of something like what need to be there so children can nap? There are different things that children can nap in or on, right? So what do you have there? I'm interested.
Mine's a daycare, and they just have cots that they take out at nap time, except for the infants. But they bring those out and then have their own blanket and pillow and stuff.
Okay. How many do they have there?
How many?
Cots.
There was I think there was 6 or 7 kids that day.
Okay.
They're little ones. They fold up. They're really neat, so they don't take up much space. But she had them over in a closet on the side. I was only there for nap time 2 days, so.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that sounds nice.
They either rest or the older kids would read a book or rest and. So.
Anything else? No kids naps on a beanbag, right? You don't have to.
That is not safe.
All right. Sounds like we didn't have much concern about that.
I try to get my son to take a nap while in class, and it does not help.
You know what, Kira? Kira?
Yes.
Put your son to nap in, you know what? In a cot, you mean? Or on a cot?
Yeah, we're on my bed. So when you see an arm, it's him.
Sleep now.
That's him in the background.
Trying to get it in there.
Is there anybody else that can help you? You're in, fall asleep. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I could listen to you guys. It's just talking about naps. I'm like, yeah, I try to get my son to do that so that way I don't have to worry about him and then try to listen and yeah.
Well, I'm not worried about him. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you can mute yourself. Even if you don't, well, he didn't make any much noise. And, usually if I keep talking for long enough, I would be very effective in putting people to sleep. The parent is not helping. It's not helping you today. All right. Okay. That's an okay joke. I had a plan to ask you questions like what is your bedtime ritual for your own children, or even for the children you are caring for. So what would you notice or identify from a crying children before sleep? Yeah, things like that on page 234. I think we may go on from there, right? Okay. Of course, for very young children or even infants, we rock them. Yeah, in reality, I will never pull an infant by his or her arm. I just did it to this baby. And the camera. Yeah, my wife and I often just rock our, say, younger one too. And my parents and my parents-in-law, they did that a lot to rock my children to sleep in their arms. And my first one might be a little bit easier to put to sleep sometimes, but even say 2 years old or even younger than that, you can just put her on in the crib and she will fall asleep oftentimes. But my younger one might be a little bit more spoiled, so she's more used to the arms. My mom and then my mother-in-law. What happened is that as soon as you think, well, you saw her eyes are closed, and you very gently and carefully you put her down onto the crib. When her back touches the crib, her eyes open, and that's scary and a little bit and frustrating, yeah, to you. I don't know whether you have come across a situation or challenges from the children you're working with. Yeah. And we didn't really effectively solve that problem. So what we try to do is just to put her down as carefully, as gently as we could. There you go. Yeah, he's been good. Okay. I even wrote down this question for you. Let's just talk about that just now. Chapter 10, getting dressed. Just like we are talking about the routines throughout the day, right? Yeah. Eating, diapering, potty training, and then get dressed. Okay, or change and dressed. Okay. I think we are all doing this. This is again very specific. As a parent, I also received such presents from my kids' teachers quite a while ago. A bag with clothes, soiled or wet clothes, a sealed bag. In case you're not sure about, I bet all of you are pretty sure about this practice that we have to do. We don't rinse it. We don't try to wash it. We just seal it in a bag. and then give it to the parents when they came. I'm sorry about the screen. I adjusted. Okay.
You have to tell the parents because not all of them check the backpack every day.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't want it coming back.
Yeah. Well, sometimes if you give them a brown bag, a lunch bag, you know, okay. Yeah. Yeah. One thing very important is that from the very beginning, you need to tell them, especially new parents, get an extra pair of clothes. Yeah, ready with the inner cubbies. Okay, all right. So here's some question at the lower bottom of the cognitive period, or in a cognitive domain. Some knowledge question. So about what age do you think children should have the skill to dress themselves? At about what age do you think we should, or children would be able to? So we should also encourage them to dress themselves. I think it's helpful for us to be certain about such knowledge, right? You can make a guess.
Probably 3. Most of my 4-year-olds know, but there are times when we have them go in the bathroom and change their clothes because if they did have an accident or a spill at snack, and some of them are just so used to their parents doing it for them that they can't, but most of them can.
Yeah.
So probably 3.
Yes, that's a very good response. Yeah, I will also say 3 years old. 3, 4, even many kids starts at 2.5 years old. Yeah, so 2.5 years old to 3 years old, most of the children should be able to dress themselves. Yeah. Although there are also individual differences, but the differences shouldn't be too big. Yeah. And well, that's dressing themselves. Undressing themselves would be easier, right? Yeah. So it will happen. Children will be able to do that at an earlier age, and usually around 18 months, 1.5 years old. Yeah. They will be able to undress themselves. So between that gap, these children might be just more like nudists. They don't show much interest. Even before that, in clothing until 2.5 years old and 3 years old. Yeah, so they would like to get themselves dressed, and they started to be picky or particular about what to wear. Robert and me will have very different reports or descriptions about the choices of clothing about our children. I think girls and boys manifest different tastes or tendencies when it comes to what to wear, a requirement, right? Boys may care a bit less or much less. Girls may care more. That's a very general judgment. It's happening on my children. Yeah, when lifting young infants, always remember to hold their head and necks. That's very important to support their still developing very weak spine. Yeah. So again, another question. Until when, about when or what month a baby the neck or the spine is strong enough to support its head? I didn't look it up, so don't worry. For the other, I did look up to make sure, but my guesses are pretty accurate. For this one, I didn't look it up, but I did have the question. What did it say?
Between 6 and 9.
6 months? Yeah. 6 months to 9 months? You all agree?
Accurate.
Okay. So Cindy is also nodding. All right. So let's say 6 to 9 months, because I didn't look up this one. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that's about right. Yeah, and we also admit that there are differences, individual differences. Some very strong babies, they You may do
Right.
it earlier, and some thinner one may do it later. Yeah. There are so many milestones that excite parents, and that's one of them, right? They are able to hold their own head. They are able to sit up by themselves. There are just so many interesting things. Revisiting those details even oftentimes brought me back to the memories with my very young children. Oh my goodness, we are done. Anything else you want to share? Anything else you feel interested to talk about or to share with us? These big topics about routines. That's the most important topic today. The routines we do with children, every day on a daily basis, so that we take a good care of them. We feed them well. We take care of their diaper needs, their napping needs, their dressing needs, so that they can learn, they can grow, they can be happy. All right. Okay. Let's take a break then. 5 or 6 minutes. We'll start again when everybody's back.